Well, hello there. Now, if any of you are not familiar with my channel, I fucking swear. So, if you don't like fucking swearing, then fuck off. I'm just going to do this one for fun. This is not meant to be an exact detail. It is a generalization of the difference between the Americans and the English. And I live in America. I love living here. I don't want to live anywhere else. I certainly don't want to live in England. And it's just the difference of things we do, things we say, how we act. And do understand, I am married to an American. So we have these differences pretty much on a daily basis. She has to understand I'm English and I do things differently. I have to understand she's American. She does things differently. Let's first talk about things like therapy. Now, in England, we will basically, oh, sorry, shouldn't have said that word. In England, we very rarely do therapy, unless there's something wrong with you to go to therapy. America has therapy for everything. Now, if I have a problem, I figure it out myself. If an American has a problem, they rush to their therapist. It's dumb. No, sorry, that's not fair. It's different. My wife has had surgery recently, so she has to go and do exercises, but they call that therapy. In England, we call it exercises. Let's move on to the next small detail. Over here, everybody's a fucking doctor. You don't have a veterinary surgeon. You don't have a optician. You don't have a dentist. You have a veterinary doctor, a eye doctor, and the other one, whatever that was that I just mentioned and I've forgotten. I'm sorry, no. To me, they're not doctors. They're just people that chose their particular trade and they're very good at it, but they're not doctors. To me, a doctor is, I don't know, the guy in the surgery that you go and see that has gone through medical training. Now, yes, of course, an eye doctor over here has certainly been through medical training, but he's not a doctor in my mind. Now, maybe that's just because I'm English and that's the way I was brought up. But in England, you have doctors, you have surgeons, you have veterinary surgeons or veterinary, I don't know what you want to call them, vets. That's it, they're vets. And all of these titles over here, they love to, oh, I'm a doctor. There's one exception. I used to work with a guy in the computer industry, Dr. Mike Pugh, and I don't know where he is, whatever. But he was a doctor of Moonrock. I mean, I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. No, you're a studier, an expert. You're not a fucking doctor. Come on. But he had that title. So I'm not saying England is that much different, but over here, everybody's a fucking doctor. I'm a doctor of cars. I'm a doctor of computers. I'm a doctor of I don't know what, grass cutting. It's a fucking joke. Sorry. Okay. Let me look at my list to other things that are different. Driving. This is the classic one. Everybody asks me, and I say everybody. People ask me, oh, you drive on the wrong side of the road. Well, actually, no. We sit on the right side of the car, but we drive on the left side of the road. Pause. Driving. Yeah, I've driven on both sides of the road. Obviously, the majority of my driving was in England, and I drove on the left-hand side of the road. Then I had a job in Germany, and I was on the right-hand side of the road. Then I moved back to England, back on the left. Then I came to America, and I'm driving on the right. And people ask me, you drive on the wrong side of the road in England. Well, no. We sit on the right side of the car. But yes, we do drive on the left side of the road. Sorry, folks. There's no fucking difference. It doesn't matter which side of the road you are on. I do like the rule here in America, right on red. In most states. Be careful, it's not on all of them. Which means, when you approach a red traffic light, you can turn right even if the light is red, provided it's clear to do so. That's a fucking good rule. They should do the same in England. But, left on red doesn't quite sound the same, but, because it's not rura, it's lura. But, however, it's a good idea. It keeps traffic flow going. That's great. Sorry, need to read my list. Tips. Oh, my God. Yes, in England, I know that we love Americans. And I say we. I am not a waiter or, somebody in that field. Well, I live in America. But yes, they love to see Americans because Americans tip. In England, we don't fucking tip. You got paid to do the job. You got paid to serve me. So why should I give you a tip? Unless, you get, extra special service or you feeling generous. But, that's unusual. And over here now, they're doing a stupid thing where they're trying to make you give a tip. Even if you walk into a coffee shop, like a Starbucks, and, you buy a coffee, and all they did was pour a coffee and hand it to you, and they want a tip. No. Oh, and that's another bugbear. Over here, I don't know if it's the same in England because I haven't been there for 27, 28 years. They insist that there are certain levels of salary, wages for people that work in, McDonald's or Starbucks or whatever. All that does is pass it on to the consumer, me. You charge extra, the owner of the business then passes that on to the customer. So you're not really helping anybody. Instead of buying a $3 coffee, I'm now buying a $5 coffee. Well, not that I do that, but that's what happens. To pay that person behind the counter, a basic wage of $15 an hour, for argument's sake, and then they want a fucking tip as well? Piss off. Not going to happen. Okay, let's move on to something else. A very simple one here. Americans are loud. Why? America's big. England's not so big, so we're not so loud. That's just a silly one. Food portions. Oh my God. Now, I have put on 60 pounds in weight since I've been in America. And I put my hands up and say, yep, nobody held a gun to my head and made me eat the food. But I grew up in a house where my father was the only breadwinner initially. And any food put on the plate in front of you, you ate it because we didn't waste food. And if you tried to get away with it, you get a smack round the ear. In fact, silly story here, but I'm going to do it. My brother, I believe, and I'm sure he'll correct me on this. Well, no, he won't because he won't watch this video. He left some peas on the plate. And my mum said to him, there's thousands of starving in Biafra, as it was at the time. And he said, well, put them in an envelope and send it to him. I think he got a thick ear for that. Or maybe even a bloody good hiding, who knows. Capital punishment was not something we avoided in our house. However, because of this way I've grown up, and my brother and my sister too, but my brother and I live in America. So I go into a restaurant now, and going out to dine in England was a remote thing. You didn't do it that often. But over here, it's commonplace. You go out once a month, twice a month. Some people go a lot more. I'm retired, so, we don't tend to go out that much, but we do go out occasionally. However, you go to a restaurant over here, and let's say for argument's sake it's Outback or Red Lobster or Olive Garden, one of the chain restaurants that isn't high end. And you sit down and they'll bring you a glass of water, of course, because that's what they do. They will also give you a loaf of bread. Now, I'm generalising here, so don't get on my fucking case about it. So they give you a loaf of bread to, eat, or, some chips and salsa, whatever, depending on the restaurant. And then they'll say, okay, what would you like? So you go, yeah, I'll have an appetizer. Well, of course, prior to that, they've already asked you what you want to drink, and it's a beer or a wine or whatever. So you order an appetizer. Sorry, that's my doggy barking. So I've sat down. I've got a glass of water. I've got an alcoholic drink, if that's your preference, and I've got a loaf of bread. And then they say, what do you want to appetizer? So I'll order an appetizer. And then they go, okay, great, there's your appetizer. Would you like a salad? Oh, shit, yeah, all right, I'll have a salad. So you have a salad. Oh, what do you want for your entree? Oh, so you order your entree. Terrific. I'm stuffed already. I was full from the bread. So I've had my entree. And, you're going to have pudding, dessert. So you have this triple layered chocolate cake covered in syrup and cream and ice cream and God knows what else. And you finish that. And then they offer you coffee and maybe a liqueur. So you have all of that and you're not allowed to leave anything. Well, you can, but they look at you funny. Quite often I'll have a doggy bag, as they call it, and you take home some of the meal that you just couldn't eat. It's no wonder I put on 60 pounds since I've been here. The final thing, I'm going to wrap this up now because, well, you're probably bored. But first, I need to have a bit of liquid libation. Pronunciation of words. Now, I've probably covered this before, but it's fun. On my videos, I'll talk about soldering or soldering, being acclimatized or acclimated. Wow, that one threw me when I got here. The usual tomatoes, potatoes. And actually, I don't think I've ever heard them called potatoes. that would be fucking weird. As an Englishman here in America, Jaguar and Jaguar. And the other one that Jay Leno does, which winds me up, turbine. Turban, he calls it a turban. No, it's a turbine. B-I-N-E, bine. But, we are two nations separated by the same language. I live in Rome, so do as the Romans do. And you should understand that expression. Yes, I live in America, so do as Americans do. It's just, we have to be tolerant of each other. And I'm not a tolerant person, especially when it comes to the English language. So I do try and correct the Americans, which really I shouldn't do because I'm living in their country. Even though I'm a US citizen, I'm living in their country. It's a great place to be. There was something else I was going to add, and now it's completely gone out of my head. Isn't that wonderful? What the hell was I going to say? Let me stop it here so I can see if I can get my brain cell to engage. I have absolutely no clue what the hell it was I was going to say that was so relevant. And even now I struggle to try and figure out what the fuck it was. But it really couldn't have been that important. It was just a point of when you live in someone else's country, as I do, you're not going to change them, and that's right. It's just one of those things that you because I grew up in England and was educated in England, when I hear different words, different pronunciations, things are different, that's it. It's different. Except what you have to deal with in the country you live in. Don't come to a country and expect them to change just for you. You don't have that right. These people in England and America that come in and say, well, you mustn't say this, you mustn't do that. Fuck off. This is America. If you don't like the way things are in America, then fuck off to somewhere else where you came from. And the same applies to England and any country. I lived in Germany, as I've mentioned previously. I followed their rules. Yes, some of them I thought were kind of stupid, but I'm in their country, so I follow their rules. One thing that happened is in Germany, they're very strict on registering and deregistering the houses you live in, or where you live. I'm not quite sure why, but they do. And I rented a house from my boss, as it was, and he forgot to deregister. And of course, when I moved in, I did the legal thing and I registered. Next thing I know is there's 4 policemen at my door telling me I'm overcrowding. I said, well, it's just me, my wife and my baby. But he still thought the previous tenant was still there with him, his wife and his baby, which wasn't true. But, it was the rules of the country. And he hadn't obeyed them. Okay, that was sorted out. That was no big deal. But that's the whole point. Don't expect a country to change the rules to suit you. In England, way back, God knows when, the Sikhs came to England and they wear turbans. No, not turbines, turbans. So they couldn't put a crash helmet on. But the law in England is if you ride a motorbike, scooter, whatever, you wear a crash helmet. And they objected to it. Well, tough shit. Then fuck off, go back to where you came from. Or take off your turban and put on a crash helmet. It's the law of the country. I believe it was in Australia, and I could be wrong here, that they said, you're welcome to Australia, now obey our rules. And that's how it should be when you go to any country. I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you go to Saudi Arabia or somewhere like that, alcohol is banned. You're not allowed to drink in certain places, certain areas. Well, that's the fucking case. Don't do it. If you don't like that rule, then fuck off, go somewhere else. Obey the rules of the country. Smuggling drugs into certain countries is taboo, and they'll cut your hands off, cut your dick off, cut whatever they want off. That's the rules of that country. Shit, what was that book? Can't remember. There was a guy that tried to smuggle some drugs into a country and he ended up in prison. Something Istanbul? No, forget it. Doesn't matter. That's not relevant. Well, it is relevant, but I can't remember what the fucking book's called. don't expect people to change their country for you. And that particularly is strong right now in America with all these illegal immigrants. Yes, they're illegal immigrants, they're not migrants, flooding this country thanks to Joe Biden. And in England, you're getting the same stuff. Not thanks to Joe Biden, but thanks to whatever idiot you have in charge over there. So obey the rules of the country or fuck off. Simple as that. Oh dear, is that controversial? Well, never mind. That's me. Thanks guys for watching. Girls, yes. Oh, mwah. Yeah, somebody said that was creepy because I'm an old man if I like girls. Well, I don't mean girls, you know, I mean females. What the fuck? Why do I have to double correct myself every fucking time because of this woke shit? Well, and on that, I'm going to finish on this. You're born a man, you're a man. Born a woman, you're a woman. Get over it. Fuck off. Sorry. Oh, did I say that out loud? Aren't I a bad one? That's enough. Now, leave your comments. Good, bad, whatever. You can have a different opinion to me. That's okay. Doesn't mean you're right.